Ibomane Gente, Ayekeno, or Zano Bosuru Chinketa, I see Kankonya Chidi, Yazelo, as no Bosinketa, Drena Inama, Nayadike, Chinechada, Guago, Try Kurutako, Ise, Edico City, Abasi Terunya Bozi, no Bosuru Chinketa, Bo Eastern is 24. That before Bostamaca be Fenadana Otto, that the whole Eastern Region. And the Bostamaca the update of Biafran Prime Minister, na Finland. And no Bosinketa. Yeah, with the Luno Bo, Bostamaka insecurity and the Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S ladies. Why I Jimakia Webia, soon ye gent in Iraqua, Kono Fuye, Umunai will you, Diki Gaya Bife, if Fakulika, it gets a drop or I feature, your only action, Bostamaka Yenda Ninaku about insecurity and the Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S ladies. All right, over to you, sir.
Now, let's quickly segue to this other topic that is very topical right here in the Southeast because it involves Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I want us to look at, the recent statements by the governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo, that the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu would not end insecurity in the region. He believes that the struggle, the separatist group struggle, the Biafran struggle has already been hijacked by criminals. And as a result of this, the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu may not necessarily end insecurity. So this is a burning topic. And, it's time that we start to have this conversation and, look at the reality, look at things as they are now and the way things have changed from the time he was arrested to right now. So let's gain your perspective on two critical questions. First, do you think that if Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is released, the issue of insecurity, not just in Anambra State, but in the Southeast would completely be a thing of the past? And secondly, how would you describe the behavior, the countenance, the actions of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu prior to his arrest?
Prior to his arrest. Okay. Now, on the first wing of your question, I agree with the governor that release of Nnamdi Kanu is not going to curb the criminality going on. But I don't know in which context he said that. You see, sometimes you look at why people think of certain projects and they stop it. The reason is this: they cannot control it. They cannot handle it. When Nnamdi Kanu started, that area of camping people in the bush and all that, maybe they didn't think of it very well, that they may not be able to control it. So, because of that, the thing got out of hand. Perhaps if Kanu was around, it would have been controlled. Because at the time he was still roving around, it was controlled. But now, every criminal who has some money will gather boys, camp them in the bush, get money, kidnap people, kill people, take killing contracts, mount roadblocks and collect money, steal people's money, and then on and on and on. And it has really gotten out of hand. If that is what Governor Soludo is talking about, yes, he was right. Releasing him is not going to stop the criminality. What will stop the criminality is actively combating the criminals in the bush by the security forces, Nigerian security forces. That is what will do that. And maybe what is his method now? Surrender your gun and get paid. Surrender your gun to a priest or what and get paid. Maybe it will work, but I don't see it working. You see, there's something you have to bring in when you look at this. That is the issue of what the statisticians released. 2-point-something trillion from ransom.
Yeah.
Right? Just think of that. Think of 5% of that. It is a big business. How many banks in Nigeria? Put 5 banks together. Do they declare that as profit in a year? even the oil companies, who is having that kind of money? So it is a big business. It is bound to explode as it has exploded because there's big money there. And then the raw materials to do that readily available. A lot of unemployed young men, a lot of angry persons, a lot of people who are now attuned to see crime as the only way to live either evenly or shoot up as Odogo or whatever. So you don't see that it's not a matter of, it's not connected, but you see why that statement by Soludo was not a good one, not dangerous. He's not taking into account how Soludo was arrested,
How Mazi Nnamdi Kanu?
how Nnamdi Kanu was arrested, which was extraordinary rendition, and how the courts have freed him and the government is still holding him. So if you remove that legal aspect, you are not qualified to talk about anything with the impact of Kanu's release or not, because his arrest was illegal in the first place. Was extraordinary rendition in international law is clearly stated an illegal affair. You don't spring a person, you follow due process. But it was not followed.
Yes, but still speaking about the issue of security, before we round this up, still speaking on security, the actions of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, he was the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra before his arrest, and he had his radio station. He used to, broadcast a lot of things. His actions, would you say they were, how would you describe those actions? Not just the way he was arrested, but how he was acting prior to his arrest, his actions before his arrest. Do you think that if he is released, that there will be any change? Do you think that anything will change at all?
You mean change about his pattern?
Yes, the pattern
of liberation struggle.
His pattern of liberation struggle. And describe his liberation struggle prior to his arrest.
Yeah, see what I'll tell you. First of all, that thing is sub judice, right? So it may not be safe to discuss it. But then, by way of light comment, many people do not know anything about liberation struggle. And even in international law, what people are supposed to do. What Nnamdi Kanu was trying to do was to dismantle the image of the country he thinks is holding his people captive. Right? It's just like in war. If you declare war, you have declared death, you have declared torture, you have declared destruction, wreckage. So, I'm not saying he was right or wrong, but I'm trying to say that if you look at the independence struggle in Nigeria, you go back and look at what Zik did. He led it, and then the others, even those who were a kind of complacent and conservative and pandering to the British. But Zik, they did a lot of things. If you take any of the books on Zik's movement, you found out how they combated the colonialists. Yes. With lies, with shocks, with revelations, with comparison. What obtains in their country does it obtain here? And a lot of that. So these are things that are usually employed. So Kanu doing some of those things, what I don't personally like about his style was attacking other ethnic groups. But I understand it. In the sense...
Wait, can you repeat yourself? What didn't you like about his style?
About
Mazi Nnamdi Kanu'S style.
Yeah. Attacking other ethnic groups. Because you can never be right in condemning a whole people. When you say the Yoruba did this or the Yoruba did that, where is the proof that the Yoruba sat and planned to do this? It's just like those who executed the pogrom against Easterners in 1966 and 67. Because about 17 army officers carried out a coup, then you now punish the whole of the Igbo race and even the surrounding walls. By doing that, you are condemning a whole people. All the people you killed, most of them never knew anything about how the coup was planned. They didn't know how it was executed. They never once met the individuals who carried out that coup. But then you condemn them by association, just by their being Igbo or their being Easterners.
Okay, before we run off, right, let's compare approach, manner of approach. When Nnamdi Kanu was still, before he was incarcerated, his approach was more of shouting, saying stuff, re-echoing what the Nigerian state and whatnot, right? Then he was incarcerated. Then comes Simon Ekpa, which approach was more of violence, go after, and led to all we are seeing, the mayhem we're seeing in the Southeast at this point in time. Now, he's been arrested, and we can see somewhat everywhere dying down. People, like, Mondays are busier than ever before right now, right? Don't you think that releasing Nnamdi Kanu would bring a halt totally to, whatever we're facing down here in the East, regarding to seeing what happened when Simon Ekpa was arrested? Like, you can literally hear all the noise of people trying to enforce Monday sit at home and whatnot. Like, all that story somewhat died down.
Okay, before even the government started doing things about the sit at home, Nnamdi Kanu had said they should stop the sit at home.
Simon Ekpa countered that it's
Simon-
not true. Like, till he calls him or message him or he sees him saying it, then he believes it. But for now, no, they're playing tricks on people's minds.
Well, personally, I don't understand Nnamdi Kanu. I don't want to understand him. I do not think he's into liberation struggle.
Are you talking about Simon Ekpa?
Simon Ekpa, sorry.
Okay.
Simon Ekpa. Exactly. Thank you for helping me out.
Fine.
This Simon Ekpa, I do not understand him. I haven't studied him. I don't know why he's into it. I know he's not making the impact. I know he doesn't even understand. You see, what many people don't know is the weight of the force they are planning to fight. You are fighting a force, an establishment that has been there for over 5 centuries. That establishment is the British establishment. That is what you're fighting. All these diplomatic actions leading to punishment of IPOB and stopping of their programs and using certain countries to control their destiny is by the British Whitehall, which is so experienced in this. So that was why the George Obiozor said, come out from there. It's too big for you. You can't do it. You cannot do it. So then, on the style of Kanu, everybody doesn't have to know about propaganda. In propaganda, you choose your method. You decide what you use to attract attention, what you use to shock the society and compare attention, right? That was why he was doing the jeering things, like saying Buhari was cloned and this thing happened and that happened. And you have to give it to him, he was also getting good information about Nigeria. If you go back to those things he predicted, you see them coming one by one.
Yeah.
As at 2014, he said Buhari will become president, and after Buhari will be Tinubu. Is it?
Dalonu ụmụnne anyị kunu si wene esola anyị n'iru akwụkwọ na Eastern News 24 ka ife were ikwu gbasata maka ebe ife ndị a niile nọ. I need your own reaction gbasata maka ebe ife dela ya na comment section na Eastern News 24 ka ife iche n'ụdị nke gị anyị na-eche n'obumnobi unu ya na ihe unu che gbasịta maka ya bụ ihe ndị a niile nwanne anyị nwoke kọwagasị kwu n'elu akwụkwọ gbasịta maka Nnamdi Kanu's release ọ ya kwụsị insecurity na Eastern Region. And the reason of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will not stop insecurity by Soludo. Drop ọrụ anyị fiche n'ụdị nke gị ọzọ dịka ibe ya bụ anyị garapụ n'oge ugbu a ka anyị wetara ya bụ ozi ọzọ anyị ji maka ya wee bịa anyị etinyekwa n'ilu akwụkwọ ka anyị wetara ya bụ ozi dalụ lide na ụmụnne m nke mesịa